discussing the latest US tariff update. Usually in our morning video on a Monday at the start of the week, we like to cover what's coming in the week ahead. However, with the significant announcement we've had this morning between the US and China in its new tariff regime, we thought it would be more important to cover today's news. Now, as we saw last week, the US came to a new agreement on trade with the UK. However, that was a more minor announcement given the tariff rate that the UK had seen imposed by the US. And what investors will be more interested in is today's agreement between the US and China. Now, when the US first put its tariffs onto China, we saw China respond with its own tariff rate, and that just escalated and escalated and escalated, with the tariff rate moving higher between the two countries. So today's agreement is the first de-escalation that we've seen between the two regions. Now, what's been agreed is a 90-day period where tariffs will be reduced. So the US current tariff on China was 145%. We'll see that fall all the way down to 30%. And China had applied 125% onto the US. That will fall all the way to 10 during this 90-day window. Now, what the two regions are looking to do is make a proper agreement or a further agreement in terms of what they're going to see going forward in terms of trade. What the US have pointed to is a significant improvement in terms of fentanyl exports from China into the US, which was one of the key things on the US agenda and why tariffs were first imposed on China. So ultimately, what does that news mean for asset markets? Well, if we start with equities first, they're all showing positive gains. So in the US, what we're seeing is that what markets are indicating to us is that they'll open up about 2.8% for the S&P 500. Think about areas in the US that have struggled the most during this period. It's areas like small caps, and they're seeing the biggest rally from the news. So they're up about 4.25% on the announcement. Closer to home, here in Europe, those equity markets are up about 2% from the announcement. And over in Asia with China, they're up about 3%. Thinking about diversifiers we have in multi-asset portfolios, we can see US Treasury yields and also gilt yields. They've moved slightly higher on the news, up about 6 basis points. So no major move there in fixed income. But if we think about other areas where investors have moved to as a diversifier, such as gold, that's underperformed from the news. So that's down about 3%. However, what we would note is with that asset acting as a diversifier to our equity risk within multi-asset portfolios, that's exactly how we would expect gold to react to the news. So although it is down, it is within our expectations. So thank you for watching today's video, and we'll catch you later in the week.
This video is not a recommendation or personal financial advice. With investing, your capital is at risk. Investments can fluctuate in value, and you may get back less than you invest.